In a world obsessed with bigger, faster, and more expensive electric cars, one brand just flipped the script. While others are chasing luxury and performance, Dacia, the humble European automaker known for practicality, just unveiled something completely different. A car so small, so efficient, and so futuristic. It might change how Europe thinks about electric mobility forever. Meet the Dacia Hipster, Europe's first true Kei-Style electric vehicle. It's not just a car, it's a rebellion on four wheels. While car makers compete to build the biggest batteries and the longest ranges, Dacia dare to go small, very small. Inspired by Japan's legendary Kei cars, the Hipster brings minimalism, efficiency, and style into one stunningly compact design. It's tailor-made for the modern European city. Easy to park, ultralight, and surprisingly fun to drive. But don't let its size fool you. Underneath it's sleek, playful shell eyes a serious technological statement. That sustainability isn't just about range, it's about rethinking what we truly need. The Dacia Hipster is built for a generation that values freedom over ownership and simplicity over excess. With a lightweight frame, recyclable materials, and a battery designed for quick urban commutes, this EV represents a new way of thinking, a shift from the age of horsepower to the era of smart power. And here's the genius. Dacia didn't just make it affordable, they made it desirable. Its minimalist interior, digital dashboard, and futuristic LED accents give it a premium feel without the premium price. The reaction? Pure disbelief. While legacy automakers laugh at the idea of a micro-EV, analysts are now calling the Hipster a potential disruptor. With rising energy prices in crowded cities, compact electric cars are no longer a niche, they're a necessity. Tesla made EVs cool. BYD made them accessible. But Dacia may have just made them truly practical for the masses. The Hipster isn't about speed. It's not about luxury. It's about redefining what progress means. Dacia's message is clear. The future of mobility isn't about owning the road. It's about sharing it responsibly. A smaller footprint, a smarter design, and a vision that challenges everything we thought we knew about cars. That's what makes the Dacia Hipster more than just another EV. It's a movement. In the race of the future, maybe size doesn't matter. Maybe, just maybe, the biggest revolution will come in the smallest package. If this little car really is the start of something big, then the EV industry better get ready because change has just arrived. The launch of the Dacia Hipster marked more than just another addition to Europe's electric lineup. It was the beginning of a quiet transformation. Cities that were once congested with oversized SUVs now had a glimpse of a simpler, more balanced urban future. Streets filled with small, efficient vehicles that blended style with purpose. The Hipster moved silently through narrow European alleys, past historic architecture and modern skyscrapers, as if connecting the old world with the new. People started noticing something different about this little car. It wasn't trying to compete on size or speed. It was competing on intelligence. Every line of its design spoke of restraint. Every feature designed with clarity. From its modular battery system to its intuitive smart interface, Dacia had focused on practicality over complexity. Charging stations, once intimidating for new EV users, became effortless with its rapid micro-charging setup, designed specifically for short urban journeys. Soon, social media began buzzing. Influencers, environmentalists, and young city dwellers began sharing clips of the Hipster navigating busy streets, parking in impossible spots, and gliding quietly past fuel stations. It wasn't long before people started calling it Europe's smartest small car. And perhaps that was the most fitting description. Governments across Europe began to take interest too. With their push for greener cities and reduced emissions, the Dacia Hipster arrived at exactly the right moment. Municipalities began exploring incentives for micro-EVs, while urban planners discussed dedicated lanes and charging networks for such vehicles. For the first time in years, a European car was being praised not for how much power it had, but for how little it needed to make a difference. Inside Dacia's headquarters, the engineers watched the public reaction unfold with quiet pride. Their goal had never been to create a luxury statement. It was to create a movement. They wanted to give people the freedom to move, without the burden of excess. Each unit built was a reflection of that philosophy. Simplicity powered by innovation. Beyond Europe, whispers began to spread. Countries in Asia and South America expressed interest in licensing the design, seeing it as a sustainable solution for their rapidly growing urban centers. It wasn't just a European story anymore. It was becoming a global conversation about the future of mobility. As Dacia continued refining its concept, new variants were already on the drawing board. A convertible city edition, a cargo version for small businesses, and even a solar-assisted model that could extend range without charging. These weren't just prototypes. They were glimpses of a near future where cars would finally fit the rhythm of human life, not the other way around. The Hipster had started as a bold experiment, a test to see if Europe could fall in love with small cars again. But what it achieved was far greater. It reignited imagination. It reminded people that technology doesn't always have to be overwhelming. Sometimes, it can simply make life easier, cleaner, and more beautiful. And as the sun set over the European horizon, the Dacia Hipster glided through the city one last time that day, quiet, confident, and full of promise. A small car with a big message, that the true revolution isn't always loud. Sometimes it hums softly beneath a bright electric future. In design studios across Germany, France, and Italy, engineers began discussing what Dacia had achieved. The Hipster had managed to spark an entirely new category, the European K movement, built not around power, but around purpose. Small teams began sketching their own visions of compact urban EVs, inspired by the realization that progress could also mean refinement and moderation. The ripple Dacia created was turning into a quiet wave of transformation. Meanwhile, cities began to evolve alongside this new idea. Parking zones were redesigned to favor compact electric vehicles. Charging stations multiplied, appearing in corners of neighborhoods that had never hosted them before. Public transport systems began integrating with micro EV sharing platforms, creating a seamless connection between personal and shared mobility. The Dacia Hipster became a common sight, not as a rare futuristic novelty, but as a trusted part of daily life. Inside the car, everything felt calm and purposeful. The ambient lighting, the soft hum of its motor, and the gentle rhythm of movement created a sense of ease for drivers. Many owners describe the experience as peaceful driving, a refreshing contrast to the intensity of traditional city traffic. It wasn't about speed anymore. It was about presence, the idea that getting somewhere could feel effortless, even restorative. Everywhere it went, the Hipster seemed to adapt, not by changing its essence, but by fitting gracefully into the fabric of local culture. In a quiet way, Dacia had done something profound. It had created not just a car, but a universal idea that elegance can exist in simplicity, and that meaningful change doesn't always require monumental effort. Sometimes it begins with one small, beautifully designed step forward. The story of the Dacia Hipster was no longer just about technology or design. It had become a reflection of human adaptability. The world was beginning to see that innovation and harmony could exist together, and that perhaps the greatest revolutions are the ones that move gently, changing everything without needing to shout. In Germany, a well-known car manufacturer assembled a special task force to study Dacia's approach. They weren't looking to copy the Hipster, but to understand what had made it resonate so deeply with people. The answer turned out to be surprisingly simple. It was a car built for everyday life, not for competition. Its charm lay in the way it solved real problems with quiet confidence. That realization began to influence their next generation of concept vehicles, where efficiency and comfort began taking precedence over unnecessary power. In France, urban mobility planners began incorporating the Dacia Hipster into pilot programs for cleaner and quieter cities. Some districts even reserved parking spaces exclusively for compact EVs, symbolizing a gradual but meaningful cultural shift. For residents, these changes brought visible benefits: cleaner air, less noise, and a renewed sense of space in crowded neighborhoods. The little car that once looked like an experiment was now part of a broader urban vision. Meanwhile, Dacia's research and development teams continued refining the Hipster's design. They explore improvements in battery density, lightweight materials, and integration with renewable energy sources. One of their most promising innovations was a solar-assisted charging roof, a subtle enhancement that extended driving range while emphasizing harmony with nature. The idea wasn't to chase extremes, but to create a car that felt complete, balanced, and kind to its surroundings. Public enthusiasm continued to grow. Owners began forming communities, sharing their experiences online, and exchanging creative ideas about personalizing their cars. It was fascinating to see how people interacted with the Hipster. Some added small rooftop gardens, others used it as a mobile workspace, and a few artists even turned it into a moving canvas. What started as a compact electric car had become a source of inspiration for personal expression and sustainable living. As journalists and analysts followed this growing phenomenon, they noted a significant shift in consumer behavior. Younger buyers were drawn to vehicles that represented values rather than status. They wanted cars that aligned with their environmental awareness and digital lifestyles. The Hipster, with its minimalist elegance and advanced connectivity, fit seamlessly into this new mindset. It didn't demand attention. It earned admiration through sincerity. Dacia's success also encouraged collaborations beyond the automotive world. Technology firms began exploring how the Hipster could integrate with smart home systems, while energy companies experimented with using its batteries for grid stabilization during off-peak hours. Universities and design schools began studying its impact as a model of sustainable engineering and social innovation. Everywhere, people seemed to recognize that the Hipster wasn't just a product. It was a reflection of a changing world. Slowly, even markets that had once been dominated by large luxury cars started to make room for smaller, cleaner alternatives. The shift wasn't abrupt or forced. It was gentle, natural, and almost inevitable. Dacia's quiet revolution had set something in motion that no one could reverse. The automotive landscape was transforming not through competition, but through cooperation and shared purpose. Inside Dacia's design center, a sense of calm determination guided the team. They knew the journey was far from over. Every improvement, every new variant, and every partnership carried the same underlying goal: to make electromobility accessible, beautiful, and deeply human. And as the world watched, the Dacia Hipster continued to glide gracefully forward, not as a symbol of power, but as a beacon of possibility. As the months turned into years, the influence of the Dacia Hipster spread far beyond what anyone at Dacia had imagined. European cities began to feel different: quieter, cleaner, and somehow more peaceful. Streets once crowded with bulky vehicles now flowed with light, compact EVs gliding silently under the morning sun. Charging hubs blended into parks and neighborhoods, while children played safely in spaces once dominated by exhaust fumes and noise. It wasn't just a technological transition. It was a cultural awakening. Dacia's vision had found a life of its own. The Hipster had inspired not only automakers but architects, designers, and everyday citizens to think differently about mobility and space. The idea that less could mean more, that simplicity could be beautiful, had taken root across Europe and beyond. In schools, young engineers studied the Hipster as an example of purposeful innovation, while environmental programs used it as proof that sustainability could be practical and joyful at once. The company itself remained grounded through its success. Rather than racing to dominate markets, Dacia continued refining its mission. Each new generation of the Hipster became smarter, lighter, and even more connected to the world around it. Solar-assisted versions rolled out in southern Europe, while colder regions received models with advanced heat management systems, all designed with the same core principle of mindful engineering. In time, other car makers followed, each adding their own flavor to the growing micro-EV movement. Yet, no matter how many competitors entered the field, people still remembered that it was Dacia that had dared to start small and dream big. The Hipster became a timeless symbol, not of wealth or speed, but progress made with grace and intelligence. On the 10th anniversary of the Hipster's release, a quiet ceremony was held at Dacia's design center. The original prototype, once a bold experiment, stood on display under soft lights. Around it gathered the engineers, designers, and visionaries who had made it possible. There were no grand speeches, just a shared sense of gratitude and pride. Outside, as dusk settled, a fleet of Dacia Hipsters rolled gently through the streets, their headlights shimmering like fireflies. The city was alive with a new rhythm, one shaped by innovation, care, and imagination. The Dacia Hipster had started as a small idea in a changing world. But in its quiet, determined way, it had done something extraordinary. It reminded humanity that the future doesn't always arrive with noise and power. Sometimes it arrives softly, on four small wheels, carrying hope for a cleaner, kinder tomorrow.